Hey guys, before we jump into today's video, I'm coming to you from a different day. I've already recorded today's video for you, but as I'm now recording new videos for my 12 days of makeup, I realized that today, December 7th, 2020, is my 5-year anniversary on YouTube. 5 years ago today, I uploaded my very first YouTube video. I will link it in the cards. It's 5 years old. You can see me much younger and much more inexperienced with YouTube. So I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who have been rocking with me from the beginning. Thank you to those of you who have joined the Bella fam now. Thank you so much for all of your love and support these past 5 years, and I am looking forward to many, many more. Now let's jump into today's video. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. If you're new here, I'm Kelly, and we are currently in the 12 days of makeup. If you are just now joining us, I will by this time have a whole playlist. All of my other 12 days of makeup videos will be included, so I will link the playlist here, but I will also include all of the videos down below. I decided to do my own version of like Vlogmas, and I'm calling it the 12 days of makeup. I will be uploading from December 1st all the way through December 23rd on the odd numbered days, and we are going to be focusing on the number 12. So I've already talked about 12 brands that I loved. I talked about 12 of my favorites. Today, we are going to talk about 12 of my favorite brushes. Now, my most recent video that was part of my 12 days of makeup, it was a collaboration with my friend Brit Clarke here on YouTube, and it was on her channel. We did a live and we were chatting about makeup that we can't believe we haven't panned and haven't used up yet. So I will have Brit's video down below. Make sure you go check it out. I did not upload on my channel that day because my video for the day was a live with Brit. So again, thank you to Brit for having me over on your channel, on your Britchmas. Make sure you go check her out and subscribe if you haven't already. But without further ado, I have 12 brushes that I am going to share with you. Let's jump into the video. Okay, let's start with face brushes and then move into my eyeshadow brushes because the majority of the brushes that I have are eye brushes. It's not even half and half. I have 4 face brushes to share with you. I do not have a foundation brush because I apply my foundation with a sponge, and I didn't want to include that in my 12 brushes. So I guess maybe that's an honorable mention. I prefer to apply my foundation with a sponge. So after that, I typically go in with contour, and the brush that I like to contour with is my Morphe Y11. I know that people have strong feelings about Morphe. I purchased my Morphe brushes a really long time ago, and there's still, in reality, some of the brushes that I reach for all the time. Like, I love this brush to contour because the tip is very tapered and it just gets right where I need it to. I go in with a matte contour shade. I'll dip this in before I bronze. I'll focus it right on like the hollows of my cheeks if you make the fish face. I get right in there with this brush. Since it's nice and tapered, it's easy to do that. It blends the product out nicely, and I use this brush every day. So however you feel about Morphe, I understand, but it's still a brush that I use all the time. Now, the next brush is a brush that's new to me, but it has taken the place of an old favorite, and it is the brush that I use to put bronzer on. Now, I like to go in typically with a matte bronzer, although my ambient lighting bronzer has a little bit of a sheen to it, and my bronzer that was a collaboration between Ofra and Samantha March, the River Bronzer, that one has a matte side and a more shimmery side, and I typically mix the two together, but I like to use my BK Beauty 103 brush. This brush is a little bit sandwiched as well, I guess you could say, but it's definitely fluffier than my Morphe brush, and with this one, I feel like I can just go in, blend out my bronzer, and it covers more of my face. So this is the brush that I've been using every single day lately. I had a really old crown brush that was more of like an angled blush brush, and I was using that for a bronzer for the longest time. But this BK Beauty brush, it's new to my collection and it has taken over. And if I have links to any of these brushes, I will link them all down below in case you are interested in checking them out. But after I bronze up the face, I like to go in with my blush brush. This is a tried and true. It even is missing some of the writing on the side. This is the Real Techniques blush brush. I think you can get this brush on its own now, but I think when I purchased it in a face set. This brush brush is nice and large, it's fluffy, and I typically dip into my blush and I like to apply it on the apples of my cheek first, but then you can also brush it back. Now this brush is fluffier than like more dense blush brushes. If you're thinking of like the blush brushes that are angled, those typically tend to be more dense than this one. This one is very fluffy. And now I probably have blush all over my hands, but this is nice and fluffy, so I feel like it blends out the blush nice and smooth and I don't get a harsh application. The last face brush, we are on brush number 4. It is a highlighter brush and it is the Sigma Tapered Highlighter, the F35. I love this brush for highlighting. It is tapered, like the name says. It's smaller and more thin so that once you dip into your highlight, you can really focus it on the high points of your cheeks, and I also take it up into my temple a little bit. So just if you want to compare the Morphe Y11 and my Sigma tapered brush, you can tell that the Morphe Y11, even though it's small, it still is fluffier and thicker than my Sigma brush. My Sigma brush is more tapered, it's thin, it's called a highlighter brush, so that's what made me think to use it as a highlighter, but it really gets in there and highlights the high points of my face beautifully. And if you notice the lighting changing, I'm sorry. When I'm filming, I have a window right here and I like to get a little bit of natural light with the ring light, and I don't know what's happening out there, but the sun is doing its own thing, but that's okay. We are going to keep moving right along, and the next set of brushes that I have for you are my eyeshadow brushes. So let's start with crease work and blending. One of my favorite brushes for blending the transition shade in my crease is my Sigma Tapered Blending E40. I like this brush because it is nice and fluffy. I feel like I can get in the product, but then it diffuses it nicely along the crease of my eye. This is typically what I use for my transition shade, and my transition shade is usually the very first eyeshadow that I apply onto my eyes. I have had this brush for years. I have washed it so many times and it still kept its shape. So I definitely recommend that brush. I know the Sigma brushes are a little bit on the pricier end, but for me, they're worth it. And there are tons of YouTubers out there who have codes with Sigma. I'm pretty sure Karen Harris does. So I will leave her code down below. I know that my friends Brit Clarke, Heather Austin, and Yadi Beauty have codes for BK Beauty. So if I know of any influencer codes, I personally don't have any codes. I'm not affiliated with any of these brands, but if I find codes for you, I'll link them down below. That way you can find them easier. Another brush that I really like when I am doing my crease work is the BK Beauty 202 brush. This brush is very, very unique because it is a crease brush, but it's much more tapered. I have small eyes and my eyes are hooded, so that means when I open them, a lot of my lid work is covered and even some of my crease work, and my eyes are small in general. So the thing that I like about this BK Beauty 202 is that it really gets in the crease for me. It's definitely more thin and tapered. It's not a large fluffy brush, but it still has enough fluff that it blends nicely, but I'm really able to get into my crease and to blend everything out more smoothly. And if you want to see the BK Beauty brushes in action, I did recently film my first impression using the BK Beauty True Beauty eyeshadow palette and the brushes. So I can link that here and you can see these in action, and I talk a little bit more in depth about this brush there. Also, when I'm thinking about crease work, again, I know people have feelings about Morphe, but one of my favorite brushes is the Morphe Y19. This is another one. It is similar to the BK Beauty brush, but it is a little bit more fluffy. It's still thin and narrow, and I'm able to really get in my crease with this brush as well. But this one, since it is a little bit fluffier, it's not very precise, because I have small eyes. Someone who has more lid space can probably get more precision with this, but this is still what I use after I've already put the transition in with my Sigma brush and blended it out. I like to go in with this Morphe brush in a deeper shade and put it right below that transition, and it just applies the color nicely, blends it out nicely, and that has been a tried and true brush for me. One brush that I guess I should have mentioned before, I almost didn't put it in here, but I use it every single day, so it would be silly not to. It's this Real Techniques brush. I don't know what the name is because it has rubbed off completely. I got this in an eye set years ago. I am someone who primes my eyes and then I set it with a shadow all over the lid and I take it up to the brow bone. And this is the brush that I use for it. Is it an accent brush? I don't remember. If I can find the name of this brush, I'll leave the name of it, the link if I can find it. Again, I think I got this in a set, so if I find it in the set, I'll leave the set down below as well. But I just tap this into whatever shade I'm using to set the eyes, and I start in my crease because my eyes are hooded. I can get some creasing there, and I kind of pat it in, blend it out. It's fluffy, which helps to do that, and I take it all the way up to the brow bone, and this is the brush that I would use to put an eyeshadow on my brow bone as well. When we get into lid work, there are two brushes, so I'm cheating just a little bit, but I think these are the same exact brush. So is it really cheating? I just have two of them. But for the lid, my absolute favorite brush is this one here by Royal & Langnickel. It's the medium eyeshadow brush. I had the pink one first. I think maybe I got it in an Ipsy bag when I had Ipsy, and then I went out and purchased the blue one. I mean, they have the same name, medium eye shader, but they do look a little bit different. So, I mean, if I can get a close-up shot for you, you'll be able to see they have the same shape, but the pink one is a little bit more thin. Is this due to me using it or the shape of the brush? I don't know, but these two I feel like apply shimmers to my lid just in the most beautiful way. They apply gorgeously. I like the way that they make satins and shimmers pop on my eyes, and it's the brush that I use every time I am applying my lid shade. So I know it's technically two brushes, but we're gonna count that as one. I have 3 more brushes to share with you, and they all have to do with the lower lash line. I love to put shadow on my lower lash line. I have little creases under my eyes. I have always had them. And so I just like to take shadow and diffuse it on the lower lash line and hide those creases a little bit. And one of my favorite brushes to do that is the Sigma Pencil E30 brush. I feel like this one does it best for me. I can dip it into whatever shade I used in my crease, and I can just run it along the lower lash line, and it really diffuses anything that I have under there. This is typically the brush that I would use on my lower lash line first, and it works almost like a blending brush just to diffuse and give a nice blended look. But then the next 2 brushes are brushes that I like to go in and do detail work with. One is the Morphe Y21. It's just like a flat it's not a pencil brush. What do they call it? A flat eyeshadow brush? I think. It's just very flat, very dense, and this is the brush that you would use if you wanted to create more of a liner look. So going in with a deeper shade and just pressing instead of rubbing, you would just press this on your lower lash line, and then I would go in again with my Sigma E30, and I would use that to blend it out. The other brush that is new to my collection that I've really been loving for underneath my eyes as well is the BK Beauty 204. And I like this because it's similar to the Morphe, where I can create more of a liner look, but since it is a little bit thicker and a little bit fluffier, I can also blend out the shadow. So this is good for packing shadow on and blending at the same time, which is essentially what the Sigma and Morphe brushes are doing together. Because my Sigma brush is more of a blending brush, and then my Morphe one gives you more of a liner look, whereas with the BK Beauty, you get the best of both worlds, and you can kind of pack the eyeshadow shade on there and then blend it out as well. And that is going to do it for day 4 of our 12 days of makeup. Those are 12 of my favorite makeup brushes. Of course, I do have and use more than 12 brushes, but these are the ones that I'm reaching for every single day. They're my tried and trues when I'm traveling, which who's traveling these days? But when I do travel, these are the brushes that I take with me. And I just thought, you know, as much as I love makeup, I love brushes too, and part of applying your makeup are having good makeup brushes. So I just wanted to share those with you. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you have any of these brushes? What are some of your favorite brushes? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you are enjoying this video and this series, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. We have 4 days down, which means we have 8 days to go. So we're going to have a lot of great content. Make sure you catch up on all the other videos that I've uploaded so far in my 12 days of makeup, and head over to Brit's channel to watch the live that we did together. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.